Hey everybody, my name is Zach, and today I'm going to explain the turn phases in a game of Magic. Have you ever looked at a single turn in Magic the Gathering and thought, how am I going to remember all this stuff and in order? Well, you can rest easy because today I'm going to show you, and it's not that hard. Up first is the beginning phase. This is where we have our untap step. Any permanents you control, creatures, lands, artifacts, etc. become untapped and ready to use again for the next turn. Up next, we have our Upkeep Step, where cards that state at the beginning of turn, at the beginning of untap, and at the beginning of upkeep, their triggered abilities will trigger. The current player will get their chance to play their instants and activated abilities, and the mana pool will empty, meaning any cards that you have tapped for additional mana that you have not used during your turn will be used up and emptied. Up next is our Draw Step, where the current player gets to draw a card. The beginning of the draw step triggered abilities will trigger. The current player gets a chance to play instants and activated abilities, and our mana pool will empty, once again meaning any unused mana will be used up. Our next phase is our first main phase. At the beginning of main phase, triggered abilities will kick in at this point. The current player will get a chance to play their instants and activated abilities. When the stack is empty, meaning if there are no more spells to be resolved, then the current player may play lands, creatures, and sorceries, and then the mana pool will empty at the end of this phase, as per every phase. Up next is everybody's favorite phase, which is combat phase. Time to go to war, folks. This is where you're going to declare attackers. You're going to tap whatever creatures that you are going to attack with, and your opponent will respond by declaring their defending creatures. After our combat phase, we have our second main phase. This is where you get a chance to drop any additional creatures or play any last-minute sorceries before you end your turn, and it plays out the exact same way as the first phase does. Lastly, we have our end phase. This is where at the end of turn triggered abilities kick in. The current player gets a chance to play instants and activated abilities once again. And in the cleanup step, we have the current player will discard down to their maximum hand size of 7. Any damage that was not permanent will be removed from your creatures, making them whole again. We will be checking for state-based effects. Any triggered abilities that have not triggered since the beginning of the cleanup step are now placed on the stack. What the stack is, meaning if I were to play a spell and you wanted to counter that spell, and then I were to counter your counter spell, each one of those cards goes in an imaginary pile in order last in, first out. So whoever plays the very last instant or sorcery is the one who has that ability resolved first. We'll go into that into more detail in a later video though. Next, if any state-based effects were resolved or if any triggered abilities were put on the stack, then the current player gets a chance or a priority to play instants and activated abilities. If this occurs, then once the stack is empty, rather than going to the next turn, a new cleanup will begin, and this loop will continue until there is a cleanup in which there are no state-based effects that are resolved and no triggered abilities are placed on the stack. Once it's completely clear, then we empty our mana pool once more, and we end our turn and pass it over to our opponent. Okay guys, that'll do it for this video. Hopefully it helped you guys out. If you enjoyed it, please give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I will bring you guys more content for beginners. Till next time, guys.